Thank you for tuning in this episode of Channel Surfing. So today we're going to add the modification to the SCE5 prop. So I got the prototype, and PowerTech sent me the black anodized and the exhaust flare, which I lost at the bottom of the ocean early on in testing. So this will be cool. So got some tools for surgery to do. Let's go ahead and get started. So this was the prototype, that's why it doesn't look all that fantastic, but on these holes inside they're actually Loctited from the factory. I've got almost 70 engine hours on this, and it's solid. It hasn't come off, it's worked great, but I need to get this off. So the one thing to note is the tool goes all the way through, and the problem is the prop nut's in the way. So I recommend getting it on or off with just the exhaust tube without the flare, because it saves you an extra inch. So we're going to go and get the cotter pin out and pull the prop off, and then we'll take this off, replace it, and then put the new one on. This tool is worth its weight in gold for its a cotter pin removal tool. It's also on our Amazon affiliate site. Really worthwhile. And you also need some Yamalu marine grease. You take it off, and the extension works really good too, and a block of wood. I hate cotter pins, but without the cotter pin, the prop will end up at the bottom of the ocean, and that's really not good. The other thing to be really careful of on this is when it starts to get loose, you do not want the cotter pin to fall out and go in to here. Oh. That'll add extra labor. So if you're not careful, you can put a piece of string through it to hold it as you kick it out, as you knock it out, or just be very careful when you do it. And like that, cotter pin. Never use cotter pins either. You ain't going anywhere without that prop, and that cotter pin is what keeps that from falling off. Then you need a block of wood, and it's a 27mm socket. Got the prop nut, castle nut, and there's a washer. The washer there, and then you got the thrust washer. You always want to look for fishing line here, clean all this up with a rag, and then coat all of this stuff with marine grease before you put it back together. Alright, now to get the old exhaust tube off.
It's been on there a while.
And it's the prototype. They almost look corroded in there because I don't know that they're stainless steel to begin with. The new ones are. I don't know if these ones were. Alright, good news and bad news. So, being the prototype, worried about it falling off, I actually can't get the screws out. I will snap this off there, seized in there. That's actually good news, I guess, in some ways. So this is going to be a challenge to get off. I'll probably have to drill the screws out. This is all the prototype anyway. Alright, how to install the prop, take two. Alright, we are back down here at the dock, and we've got the new prop to put in right now. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about, so I had the prototype. It's the SCE5 blade, 15 pitch. It's a prototype, so PowerTech had made it all work. So I've had a handful of folks who are concerned about the exhaust tube falling off. So mine did fall off when we were doing the testing. We didn't do any Loctite or anything on it because we were using it for testing. We figured we'd be swapping back and forth and be fine. Well, apparently when the thing spins a lot, vibrates, those screws backed out. So they pretty much do need Loctite to stay on. So anyhow, I went to take it off because I wanted to get the raw aluminum prototype off and put the nice black anodized on, and I couldn't get the screws off. I got 70 engine hours on that prop, 1,000 miles, 6 months. They're stainless screws and aluminum for the exhaust hub, and add some salt water to that mix. Throw 6 months of time on that. They're dissimilar metals, and they were stuck. So I tried penetrating oil. I tried heat. A little bit of heat, not too much because it's stainless. I tried drilling 2 of them out, and I finally gave up and said I need to try postage. So mailed my prop back to PowerTech, and they have it, and they'll figure out how to get it off. So anyhow, but some things have happened since then that I want to go over in this video as well. So here's my old original 4-blade. We're going to talk about this too. So what I ended up doing was I went down to Lemon Drop and borrowed her prop because hers just came in last week. So we're going to do an unboxing video with her prop. And I'll put it on my boat because she's my spare anyway, so I figured it all just kind of worked out. So now one of the things to be careful when you unpackage this is some of the little set screws may vibrate out. In future packaging, they're going to put them in a Ziploc bag so they don't do that. There we go. We're missing one right there. Here it is. So if you're one of the early ones getting this, when you unpack, just make sure you look for these little screws. So I talked to PowerTech, and in the future, they're going to start putting these screws in a Ziploc bag instead of in the actual unit. And they ship with a couple little wrenches. So that's the exhaust tube in that box. Comes in 2 pieces, little set screws there. We'll hold it into here. A common question I've been asked is noise. How noisy is the prop compared to the 3-blade? The 4 and the 5-blade are quiet. We don't have any noise issues. We listen to the radio and stuff while we're driving at 30 miles an hour and stuff. So. And there she is, SCE5 standard rotation, 15 pitch. The CL200 is for the Yamaha. I also want to talk about their cushion lock too. That's patented from PowerTech too, and I haven't talked much of that. But putting the boat in and out of gear with the 4 and the 5-blade with that PowerTech cushion lock, it's so smooth. It's a big difference. You guys will notice it if you pick one of these up. Yeah, the 3-blade's kind of like clunk, clunk when you put it in and out of gear.
I really don't know what that sweeper is doing on the streets because it doesn't look like he's sweeping anything. But he's noisy.
He's noisy. There she is. That's the PowerTech cushion lock I'm talking about right there. So. Sorry, Jan, I'm going to get fingerprints all over your prop.
That's dusty.
So let's talk about these tubes, and why not just make this all as one piece? Why not just cast it all like that? So the idea is that you could stack them and play with them, and they could make these exhaust tubes in different lengths. So 1 inch or 2 inch. This is actually a 3 inch, and the flare adds like another inch to it. So think about this. All of the testing I've done has actually been in this configuration right here. I've actually not ran it with this because I lost this entire piece early on. It's at the bottom of the ocean out by the green buoy there outside of Everett. So I thought to myself, you know, it works really good this way. Is this going to make it better or not? I don't know. If it doesn't, then maybe I only need a 2-inch extension with the 1-inch flare. So that was the whole idea, was that customers can mix and match. Now the mixing and matching will work when everything is all new. You can play with it and so forth. Once you get it dialed in and you lock the screws in with the Loctite, and then you get some time in salt water, as any dissimilar metal is going to do, they're going to seize together. All right, it'll take time for that. It won't happen right away, but if you're going to do any playing around with it, you want to do it when everything's new, not when the thing's, you know, a year old, 2 years old, or whatnot. So for the Loctite, PowerTech recommends this. It's a 248. It's the blue Loctite. They recommend it in a glue stick, and most of the marine stores, at least where I'm at, didn't carry this. So we went and we put it up on our Amazon affiliate site. And if any of you guys have been there, most of the stuff we run on the boat, especially if we get it from Amazon, it's all on our Amazon affiliate site. The easiest way to find that is go to our website, letsgochannelsurfing.com. Click on shop and you'll see Amazon affiliate right there. We do make a little bit of money off of it. It's not a whole lot, but you don't pay anything extra for it, and it really does help us out a lot. So every little bit helps. So the one thing to note also is with the prop nut on, it gets a little bit more challenging to get the cotter pin in and out. It is doable. Obviously, I've been doing it for, you know, last several months testing this all, but this has to get put on before the prop gets put on the boat, because otherwise when you go to run this through to screw on the other side, it'll hit the prop and the prop nut will be in the way. And if you try to get your fingers in there and use this way with the prop nut, you don't really have enough room to move. You'll probably drop this down into the prop. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take out all the screws and lay them on the tailgate. Can't tell you how unhappy I am with that street cleaner right now.
Nobody here until we get ready to film.
Right. Always works out that way.
That's when the forklifts start running.
Forklifts I don't mind. I mean, they're short-lived, but this guy is just... We'll take out the 4 screws, take some of the Loctite. I get them where they're just flush on the outside or around. You definitely want it to be on center, you know, when it gets screwed on. So start with them all and just right flush there. Just put it on there. Line the holes up so you can get the T-handled wrench on all 4 of them. Find some kind of an orientation that kind of works well for that. And the mechanic in me from the Navy, I would do this one, that one, and that one. I wouldn't go all the way around in a circle. I always do opposing sides. Give you guys a close-up. So what they do is they machine the back of the prop and they put these grooves in there, and that's what the set screws are getting in to hold it, to keep it in, so that it doesn't want to fall off. Like I said, the mechanic in me, this screw, then this one, then that one, then that one. Always caddy corner. Don't just go here, 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 around, because you want it to be on centered and solid. All right, and then once you're done, then you go around and check them all again. Because once this piece is put on, this one you're not going to take off. Not unless you're playing with it, you know, try different sizes or something. And that's it. That secures it on there. Now the prop nut will go, and then the cotter pin. You got to use like a longer needle nose pliers or something, but it's not too bad to get the cotter pin in. My concern is this: when I did it before, I would do this far. I'd put this on the boat, and then I put this on afterwards, because it adds an extra inch of trying to get your tools in there. It's still doable. Like I said, once I get my prop back, first thing I'm doing with it is I'm going to put the flare on it, and I'm going to go test it. And then I'm going to go out some flat seas, calm conditions, slack high tide, and then I'm going to do another data sheet. And if the performance is the same as with this, then I'm going to take this off, because then it's easier to work on. If the performance is better, and I don't suspect it'll be worse, but if it's better, then I'm going to leave it on, and I'll worry about the cotter pin. Getting it on or off. It's still doable. It just makes a much longer tube. You know, and actually, I would argue that if it doesn't make a bit of difference being on, and I take it off, then there's an argument to be made. Do this in a 2-inch extension with the 1-inch flare, right? That way, it's the 3 inches that matters more than the little. And it's not much of a flare. You know, the idea of the flare is it's like a diffuser for the gases to come out. But so, question I get asked is, how does it work? Why does this thing do? Well, you know, why does it improve the mid-range? What PowerTech and I think is happening with it is, if you look at how far it sticks off, right? So this is what most of my testing has been, is this way. It's been a 3-inch. This will make it 4 inches out. One of the thoughts is it acts as a running surface for the motor to hold itself up on plane. But the other one, which I think is more important, is I think it's the exhaust gases. Right, when I'm cruising along, the exhaust gases come out of the hub right here. If those gases circle back and get caught by the blades, and the blade's not biting into clean water, right? It's biting into exhaust gases in there. And if you think about it, once I go above 20 miles an hour, I don't see any difference with or without this on the performance of the prop. I saw that with the 4-blade and the 5-blade. There's no change in performance for going faster than 20 miles per hour. Didn't hurt it, but it didn't help it either. At that point, my theory is you're outrunning the gas bubbles coming from the exhaust. But when you're doing 11, 12, 13 miles an hour, that's slow enough for those bubbles to come back potentially and cause the blades not to bite into as clean a water. So to get them pushed further behind the prop as it's tuned gives it clean water to bite, and hence the efficiency gains. Now for the flare, they didn't drill the extra holes. My prototype they did. That's in the older pictures, but they realized, you know, they're really not necessary, because on the flare being only 1 inch in, that's why they supply you with the extra wrench, because it's easy it's easy to get the extra wrench in and do these.
Are you going to put those in knowing that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you should be able to take them apart. It's not until they've been in the water and used for some time. Anytime you take two dissimilar metals and you submerge them in salt water, they're going to eventually stick. It's like the lower unit on the Yamaha. That's the primary reason why they tell you take it apart and change the impeller annually. The impeller would last a couple of seasons easily. Really what they want is take the lower unit apart annually to keep the parts from sticking. Because when you put it back together, you coat everything with a light film of grease. And that, you know, because if you get the lower unit stuck in the power head, trying to get those two apart is an exercise you really don't want any part of. So just by taking things apart and putting them back together annually keeps the parts from sticking. This would be the same thing. Plus, I want to photograph how cool this thing looks. So there was one day we were, had sent the 5-blade back after I lost the whole exhaust extension, and PowerTech had to remake another one for me, so I had to put the 3-blade back on the boat. We were heading over to Edmonds with the yacht club for a cruise. I'm out in Puget Sound. You know, it's like 2 and 3 foot seas. Not like, you know, bad or anything, but it wasn't a pleasant day. They actually called a small craft advisory later that afternoon. I'm like 2 or 3 miles from the entrance to Edmonds Marina. I'm within sight of it. I got the Kingston Ferry heading my way. And I'm just getting tossed around. And with the 3-blade prop, I mean, I can do 30 miles an hour or I can do 7 knots. And it was a confused sea state. You know, the Navy Submariner in me came out of my mouth that day. I was so frustrated because I was just getting tossed around. The ferry's coming. I can't get around the ferry. I don't want to get in his way. And I'm just like, I should be able to do 12, 13 miles an hour and just cruise through this. But the 3-blade prop can't do it. So, I mean, it was an awful ride that last couple of miles to get into the marina. You know, and the frustrating part was I knew it didn't have to be that bad. I knew if I had the 4-blade or the 5-blade on the back of the boat, it would have been a much more enjoyable ride, easier cruise, all of that. But I had to wait on shipping. So, when I actually take a quick look at this, so the way they stack together, it's the same groove same groove thing they use on the actual prop. So these little set screws will bite into the groove, and that keeps them wanting to come back. Comes my street cleaner. And obviously you want to get the screws on there fairly tight. There's only so much you can do with these skinny Allen wrenches because it's I want to say it's like a 5/32 or something. They're pretty small.
If we weren't filming, none of this would be going on right now. I'm just saying.
Definitely don't lose the wrenches in case you need them again. So that's what she looks like fully assembled on there, good and tight. Another thing works good is a cotter pin tool. One of these. These are also on our Amazon affiliate site under tools. And then some marine grease. This way you can dig it in and get into the cotter pin and use it to pull the cotter pin out. And then I take some marine grease. This is the thrust washer that goes on the bottom. You coat this whole thing with marine grease. I usually will coat both of these with marine grease, the washer and the castle nut. And then the spline also. I'm not going to do that right now because this is Lemon Drop's prop. I don't want to get all greasy and have to take it up to her boat, but I'll show you how this all goes in. Alright, so when you put this together, you're going to want to know where the cotter pin's got to go because you're not going to be able to look off to the side and see it very easily. So I take my block of wood, I lock it in, and I can feel where the cotter pin's got to go. And right now it's about right here. Then I can put my castle nut on. 27mm socket. You'll probably want an extension of some sort to get in there so you can torque it good. Now I know I'm looking for it to be about right here. So I just got to tighten it until the castle nut lines up with where the cotter pin is and then fiddle with that. Never reuse a cotter pin either, by the way. Always use a new one. All right, and then you'd run the cotter pin through, and then a long pair of needle nose pliers to bend it. So I'm not going to do that because I got to take Lemon Drop's
There it is.
off.
Doesn't that look pretty?
But that's what it'll look like. I'll put on. Now, because Lemon Drop wants it back.
The Indian giver.
She's a really bad spare. I just want to go on record as saying that. She's supposed to.
Listen, no take backs.
Yeah. I think I'm more of a spare to her than the other way around. I got it all backwards.
All this time.
All this time, yeah. So for the Yamaha F250 and the 300, specifically on the R25 outboard and the R27 outboard, the prop to use is going to be this one right here. Exhaust tube, extension. It's an SCE5 blade. That's a 14-inch diameter. It's 15 pitch. That's because the Yamaha 250 and 300, they're both 4.2 liter V6s. If you happen to have an F350 on the back of your boat, it probably would work too. I don't know many people that have that. The four blade, this is the offshore four blade, and you can compare the two. So when we talk about offshore, the OFS versus the SCE, sorry, the SCE is a semi-cleaver blade, right? Looks more like that. And the four blade is the offshore, which is this. So it's bigger rounded lobes and more of a cup and stuff in them. Both these props were designed for stern lifting. For those that have the four blade, considering the five blade, what's the difference between the two? They're going to both perform the same in my experience. The difference is this is going to be more fuel efficient than this prop. All right, so this guy is pretty much a 1.3, 1.4 mile per gallon prop. He's going to be 1.6, 1.7 miles per gallon. That's what I see on the boat. And also note, when I did all my testing, it's as we use our boat. I didn't take things off our boat. It's not an empty boat, right? We have our dishes, we have our spare tools, and we have, all the normal stuff. We want to take the boat out, we grab some clothes and some food, we jump on the boat, we launch it, and we go. And that's how I did all my testing, because what I care about is dock to dock. What am I going to pay at the fuel dock? I don't care what the boat can do, brand new, totally empty, not an ounce on it, type of thing. So I've also been asked on noise. Noise between the two props, they're both quiet. I would say quieter than the three blade. The other thing is the more blades, the more balanced it is. So there's less vibration. The three blade vibrates the boat more than the four and the five blade do. And that's just because the more blades you get, the more balanced it is. The cushion lock hub, I like a lot from PowerTech. When I go back to the three blade as my spare, I really want a second one of these as my spare. When I put the boat in gear, it's a clunk. Put it in reverse, it's a clunk. The PowerTech cushion hub that they have here is their own patent, and it's really smooth. I mean, pushing the gear out, it's really nice to operate with. I mean, that's a big selling point to me, was just that cushion lock hub. And then what about the F200 that my friends with the R23 have? So the F200 doesn't have enough horsepower to push the five blade, I wouldn't believe, and PowerTech agrees. What's actually worked well on the 23s has been the offshore, the OFS, and a four blade, but in a 12 pitch. So PowerTech is actually selling this four blade prop 12 pitch with the exhaust tube for the R23s as well. And that exhaust tube should improve the four blade for the 23s for mid range. It'll give you better fuel efficiency. Like we talked before, what does this extension tube actually do? The biggest thing I think it does is gets these exhaust gases further behind the prop, so they don't get washed back into the blade when you're doing 12, 13, 14 miles an hour, hence the fuel efficiency improvement. So been really happy with it. I can't wait to get mine back from PowerTech and get it back on the boat. And I got my four blade that I need an exhaust tube for.
So if you have a 23 and you're interested, contact PowerTech, because they're doing the four blade.
Yeah, and it's a 12 pitch that they're doing for that. This one's a 15 for the. It's interesting enough for the R27, the weight and all that of the boat. 15 pitch seems to be like the magic pitch number, because the three blade is a 15 pitch. The Sharrow is like a 15.6 inch pitch. The five blade's a 15 pitch. The four blade I ran was a 15 pitch. The only thing that changes is the diameter and the number of blades, right? Because this guy, the three blades, a 15 3/4. He's a 15 1/4, and then he's a 14 inch on the diameter.
So they're running for the 23. They're doing a 12 pitch four blade.
Yep.
The same one.
On the OFS.
The OFS.
So it's a 15 1/4 inch diameter 12 pitch for that.
And then
then this for the 25 and the 27 are both getting the SCE15 pitch. SCE5-15.
The 23, they're running it with this on this.
Correct.
I just want to make sure I understood.
Yeah, so they're doing the exhaust tube. They'll do it on any of the props. They can machine it and put them on there. So, yeah, like I said, the big thing for this exhaust tube is its mid-range performances. And so there's one other data sheet. I never published it because I have it. I call it the SCE5 stubby. So what happened was I had the 5-blade prop and I lost the whole exhaust tube, and I didn't know if the 5-blade would work on the boat, so I just ran the boat without anything. So stubby because it looked like this with a prop nut right here. That's the worst configuration ever to run a prop. There's no diffuser for exhaust gas or nothing right here. I have those numbers.
But I think it still did okay with that, didn't it?
It did fine. Mid-range, this guy does 1.3 to 1.5 miles per gallon in the mid-range. With the exhaust tube, he's 1.7.
When you don't necessarily want to run it like that anyway.
You would never. That's why I never published it. But my point is the delta, the difference this makes, it's worth it. It absolutely is. Yeah, I was amazed at the difference. And on the 4-blade, it was with the offshore blade. I think it was even a bigger improvement I saw, with it on versus without it. But yeah, it definitely makes a difference in both the geometries for the two types of blades. But here and again, the offshore and the SCE5, they're both meant for stern lifting heavy boats in the back. That's what they were designed for.
Okay.
So, and with that, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Make sure to check out our Amazon affiliate site. Pick yourself up some Loctite. You'll need that for it. And thanks for watching.
If you enjoyed watching this video, click the screen to watch another.